We visited 23 towns and 21 schools along the way. This photograph was taken in Minterby, a remote mining town a short distance off the highway. This school took the opportunity to have a fancy dress day with a whole day of activities 1908 style. And I'm very proud to tell you that Kim Holm, the museum's director, and I won the three-legged race. We beat primary school students. They've not forgiven us for that. We were, however, not quite so successful in the sack race. And I have to say that we were doing mighty well in the wheelbarrow race. We were coming second. Kim was pretty damn determined we were going to come first. Pushed me a little bit too far. I went head over and it all just went to hell. But anyway, the wheels certainly fell off. And I reckon I've still got prickles in my hands, but anyway. Back to my script. They even built their own mini Talbot in their tech studies class. I sent up photographs before the exhibition tour went there, and they had a very enthusiastic tech studies teacher. We told this story to almost 2,000 school students along the way. This photograph was taken in Tennant Creek at the Tennant Creek High School. For legal reasons, we can't show photographs of any students smiling at me. You know, they've all got to be the backs of heads, so my apologies for that. We also had plenty of fun along the way. This is Russ and Liz Driver. They run Outback Vehicle Recovery. They are people who I would suggest, if you are doing insane things like taking historic cars, or any cars really, through Central Australia, remember the name Outback Vehicle Recovery. Russ and Liz were just the most wonderful people. They towed our exhibition trailer all the way from Adelaide to Darwin over the 52 days, and then they towed it back for us. Great sense of humour, great people. As you can see, Russ has fun lunch. Or I don't know, maybe that was a portrait of Kim. The exhibition couldn't have been undertaken without the support of our exhibition partners, and we'd like to pay tribute to Visions of Australia, the federal government's exhibition touring scheme, Russ and Liz Driver from Outback Vehicle Recovery, RAA, MedSat Technologies and ReachNet, CNPA for our IT needs, Trek Trailers and ABC Local Radio. To put it another way, we're proud as punch to have the Talbot in our collection at the National Motor Museums, and we were delighted to be able to celebrate the centenary of this important event and share the wonderful story with so many people across the Australian continent. And that includes you people here tonight. So thank you so much for having me.
I think we have time for just a few questions, if anyone has a question for Allison. I think you're prepared to answer.
It depends what the question is. I'm happy to make stuff up.
Not too technical. Any questions?
Did you ever start the car and actually work it, or just...
Yes, we did. We actually drove the car 3 times. We drove it out of Adelaide, we drove it into Alice Springs and into Darwin. So, and we in fact did a couple of short runs in between too to make sure that everything was in working order for our media moments. Our rationale was that, yes, we probably could have driven the Talbot all the way from Adelaide to Darwin, but if we had, we wouldn't have been able to take that trailer with all that interpretation. So it would have just been people who come and look at the car, and that would have been terrific, but we think we gave them an added experience. Our other issue was the fact that it's got a top speed safely of around about 60 kilometres an hour, and through those roads on the Northern Territory with an open speed limit of 130 or whatever it is, we actually thought we were going to be a bit of a road menace. We thought there was a high risk to the car, but also to other drivers trying to overtake us. And we didn't really want to come back and tell our chief executive that we'd broken it. That's right.
Any other questions for Allison?
So what's the reason, like you said, the legal thing where you can't show the faces of people?
It's privacy. It's privacy laws. Speaking from my experience at Flinders Medical Centre, I know we had to be very careful with showing any children in any of our marketing stuff, and it was because of issues like non-custodial parents discovering where their children were and things like that. So we just have to be really careful. There were some schools that did have media release forms already signed, and that was was much easier, but mostly I've got lots of backs of heads of kids.
They weren't all rejecting it.
Well, I don't know. But given the fact that you're all still facing me now, I'm feeling good.
What's the 474 on the Talbot?
That's actually its number plate, and that is the first one was known as Angelina, second one known as 474. A lot less romantic, but perhaps they thought they'd jinxed it on the first.
But that wasn't the 474th in South Australia?
Yes, it probably was.
Oh,
Because Angelina's registration was 319, I think. So this was just under 12 months later that they had the second vehicle in and registered. So,
as a historian, what was the first one we ever had in South Australia?
I'll throw that open to the floor.
Well done.
I know who the first driver's licence was issued to, and that was William Arthur Hargreaves in 1906, but that's not an answer to your question. Possibly. The Shearer was certainly one of the very early cars built in South Australia.
Not necessarily registered.
No, that's right. I mean, we've also got the online Jigger from 1902 up there, but yes.
How many spare tyres did they carry on those?
There were, I don't know if it showed up in one of the photographs, they had the 4 Stepney wheels strapped to the car, and I don't know that they carried any additional spares with them, so I think they just had the 4 Stepney wheels that they could attach. But they did have spare tubes and things.
Okay, time's getting on. Allison, thank you for sharing your experience tonight with us.
It's a very great pleasure. I love doing it.
I was reminded, as I listened to Allison, of an old gentleman that I knew probably 38 years ago in my little town at Uluru. And this old gentleman, and that's the only way I can describe him, moved in from the farm. He sold the farm. And he moved in and he retired in Uluru. Retired too early, he became bored. And so he took on, as a hobby, restoring old furniture. And he was absolutely brilliant at it. The work that he did was something you had to see to believe. One day I was at his place and I was watching him restore a chest of drawers for the local doctor's wife. And I just commented to him, I said, Ray, you amaze me, the way in which you work and the work that you're doing, it's an absolute credit to you. And he stopped for a moment and he just looked up and he said to me, my dear friend, and he always called me that, he said, my dear friend, nothing in this world has ever been achieved without a great deal of passion. And you brought back the memory of that lovely old fellow to me tonight. So I thank you for that on a personal level, but more particularly on behalf of each and every one of us here tonight. Thank you sincerely for sharing your passion with us. We've enjoyed your talk. It's been great, and I wish you all the best in the future.
Thank you.